Bluff City Media presents The Anthony Sain Show on YouTube at Bluff City Media. Stepping up to the microphone is your host, Anthony Sain.
Acknowledge me.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Anthony Sain Show. We are here once again, recording from the crib, man. The temperatures are dropping, the snow and ice and all the slushes out there in the street. The super slippery stuff is out there, man. So we at the house. Brother's a little bit under the weather still. Kenny Stubblefield on the other side of the screen. My brother, what's going on with you, man?
Man, I'm here, man. I'm good,
Man.
dude. Again, the weather's getting us, and me and you are still recovering, man. We're trying to
man.
make it through. We're fighting.
We got something, man. Got that COVID-25 around this jump. We got something.
We got that
They don't know
COVID-25.
nothing about it yet. They're going to come back and say, oh, yeah, all y'all had COVID.
Exactly. Exactly. You ain't lying, man.
About 3 months, Dr. Fauci go pop up. Oh, yeah. By the way, y'all had at the end of 23, going into 24, yeah, that shit was COVID, man.
Oh, that was
Dog
COVID.
got worms. Dog got worms.
Everybody's got it.
Shout out to Life, man. The movie Life, one of the best movies of all time. Can I be honest with you? Yeah, go ahead. Say it again.
The funniest comedy to me ever.
Life is so good. We talked about this. Me and Peter Epson talked about this, that Life is one of those movies where it's a perfect combination of just a super funny movie,
yeah,
but also just a super dope, awesome story as well.
Yes,
man. A story that you can't particularly relate to, but you pulling for those characters, man. It's like two guys who were young, got caught up in a scam,
everything in front of them,
the jail,
yeah.
And then you look up and they just ended up being great friends, and just even though they built their friendship in prison, during the life sentence, it was just a great movie, man, for sure.
Well, and the funny part about it, and what makes it so real is they were friends, but they didn't realize it until the very end.
You're right. They were
like, do you know what I'm saying? Like they were like ride or die,
lifetime friends.
But they didn't like each other the entire time. I mean, their whole relationship. Anyway,
now, Ken, I'll be honest with you, man. This is the second we've done 2 shows this week from the house. Did a show last week from the house. It's kind of got its advantages, man, because I can bring people in who aren't in Memphis and they can't come in and do the show, who may be Grizz fans or NBA guys or
you ain't lying,
college guys. And we got one of those today, man. My man Keith Parish, one of the OGs in just Grizz Twitter. A guy I have a ton of respect for, man. It ain't many dudes that I'll say that he's that dude for sure, and he's one of them, man. Like
just Grizz podcasting, built his thing from the ground up. I
emulate a lot of stuff that he does. Yep. He's a guy that I look at as one of my peers. A guy that I kind of, all right, what Keith got going on? You know what I mean? Like
right.
he keep up with, because I hope I push him the way he pushes me, man.
No, he's good, man.
He's about to
have him on today.
Yeah, he's about to come on today, man. I'm excited about it for sure. Sure, I can get some good stuff with him. But since the last time we talked, Kenny Stubblefield, the NBA is looking like it's about to kind of open up a little bit, man. Some teams are rumored to be making some moves. We saw the Indiana Pacers acquired Pascal Siakam in a trade.
Yeah, man.
For 3 first round draft picks, as well as the Brown kid that came from Denver. Interesting stuff, man. That they're taking that chance on him. A guy who said he wants to test free agency this summer. I don't think this stuff matters, man. At the end of the day, nobody can pay him as much as the Indiana Pacers. They're going to be a good team. There aren't going to be teams that have cap room to go get him. I think all those type of things are overrated when you really think about it, man. Because nobody, like, what's he gonna do? He's gonna go play for Orlando. I mean, what is he? He can't go to the Lakers. He's gonna go to a team that's got some money for him.
Right.
So I never really worried about all that type of stuff the way that some people do.
And it's clear Indiana is basically saying, let us get you on the floor with Hallie and see how well y'all, because you ain't never played with a guard like Hallie.
No, never, never in your career. So I think that's gonna be fine. Kudos to them. There's some rumors about what the Hawks may be willing to do. I had arguments with their fan base a few years ago, man, and all the stuff I've said has happened. Like that team, that organization, they had a nice little core and still there. Got rid of their guys, kept trading. They went and got some guys that were vets, a lot of older guys, NBA journeymen. Had some really fortunate things happen in the Eastern Conference playoffs, made it to the Eastern Conference finals. Can't take that away. But you've got to realize this organization, that was a fool's gold run to the Eastern Conference finals. And that team is built badly. And now
it's clear they didn't think it was a fool's run. They thought they had something for the future, right? Like they thought
it's just when the case. You're never as good as the Milwaukee's of the world, Philadelphia. You're just not as good as those teams were, and they just didn't build well around what they did, and they rushed to be the middle of the East when they had a good thing going. They probably would have sucked for a couple more years, and that team probably would have been really good. But they rushed. They cheated their rebuild, and they're paying for it. Another team that you're hearing, excuse me, man, rumblings about, hey, the reflux don't matter. No matter whether I'm at home or in the studio, it's coming.
It comes,
man. Shout out to Tums. It's the Brooklyn Nets. You're talking about a team who had some promise at the end of last year.
Such a weird
team, struggling
man.
out there in the East. Team that's got a ton of talent, man. A ton of wings. Got a nice young big over there in Claxton or whatever. A lot of talent on that team, and they're rumored to be blowing some things up. And today I'll talk about this. Is something I'm definitely going to talk to Keith about as well. What do you do if you're the Grizzlies? Because there's so many things that you have to keep in mind. The Grizzlies are in a position where, I'll say this with anybody, no matter what the Grizzlies do, they go out and say, hey, guys, let's go out there and give us a team effort. Let's go do whatever we can. Or if they go out there and say, damn, all this, just GG go do whatever, Vince go do whatever, Scottie Pippen Jr. go do whatever. No matter what you're doing, you're probably going to end up somewhere in the same range. Like you're not gonna fall into a top 2, top 3 level pick unless it's a lottery ball type thing, and you're not gonna go up in the standings where you're a playing team more than likely.
Right.
So with that being said, you kind of want to see. You don't want to make a trade that can kind of affect it, if that makes any sense to you. If you value that first round pick. Now, if your first round pick gets you a Mikal Bridges or whoever you're talking about in a deal, I think that's something you would want to explore, which would possibly maybe put you in a play-in type of range, depending on what you do or if you get guys back or whatever. But I think that's an interesting conversation to have, man, is what how many things are you willing to shake up in the season that could affect that first round pick, unless that first round pick is something you're going to trade? Or is the team going to say, you know what, that first round pick from the Grizzlies looks good today, but if I send them Mikal Bridges, is that draft pick still going to look as good as it looked? You know what I mean?
Well, and I guess that's the question. The question I have is how long, like, there's got to be a certain window, I think, where a team would look at the Grizzlies' first round pick and say, this is when it's at its peak value, right? Like, when do you think that is? Because they're not going to win a lot of games. They're not going to be, but how long are teams going to wait to like kind of flesh out the value of whether or not they get off of a guy like if we're talking about the Brooklyn Nets, get off a guy like Mikal Bridges and come get our first round pick with a couple of other pieces of assets attached to it. What do you, when is that peak value, do you think?
Yeah. I want to say it's today, but
why not?
I don't know, man. But the trade deadline is coming up in a few weeks. It's going to be some interesting things to talk about. I'm going to get Keith Parish on to talk about those things as well.
Yeah.
I think Luke Kennard is a big question. If you could turn him into something, you're hearing guys like Grimes out of New York, Quinn Grimes, who's got connections to Memphis, who I think could be a very nice piece, man. If you could turn one of our boneless wings into Quinn Grimes, I think that's a steal. A guy who's trainer, and Penny Hardaway, who's a guy he's got connections with here in the city. I don't think that matters much as far as trades are concerned,
right?
Because we know, there are other factors, of course, in that. But I think it's just a lot to look at going forward. You got Scottie Pippen Jr., who we're recording this on Thursday. We don't know if he's going to play tonight or not.
Right.
Nothing's really came out as far as that's concerned. Just a lot of interesting things to see. Are they going to add more developmental big men over the next few weeks or whatever? It's going to be, you got that injury waiver coming. So there's a lot of things that we have to see what are going to go down between now and not just the trade deadline in a few weeks, but the end of the season in a few months. But I'm going to slide out to you guys' way, bring my guy Keith Parish in from Fast Break Breakfast. Like I said, one of the OGs in this game. We came into this about the same time. A guy who I've really learned to just respect and emulate in this industry, man. Going to come on for the sit down with Sain. One of those advantages, like I said, of doing the show from the crib. You can bring guys in from whenever. They don't have to come to the studio. So it's going to be a great interview, I'm sure, with my man Keith. I'm going to slide out the way. It's going to be me and him here on the Anthony Sain Show. See you guys in a minute.
I'll tell you a couple things that I'm noticing. A lot of hero ball.
It's true.
They are not assisting each other like they should. And I know they're talented, and I know that they try to use that talent, try to get ISO situations, but there's way too much of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the reason as to why in that Tulsa game they struggled so hard against that 2-3 zone, because they're not used to passing the ball around and finding open looks the way they should.
Right.
They're used to David Jones taking the ball and going to make something happen. Those 3 games against top 25 opponents, they were locked into the game plan, sharing the ball, doing everything they could to go get a win. But it feels like there's something amiss, like they're just not taking these teams as serious as they should.
Yeah, and I'm going to save some despair and fear of Memphis fans. This team is going to drop 1 or 2 games to a bad team. It's gonna
feels
happen.
inevitable at this moment.
Yeah,
yes.
it's gonna happen at some point.
Tune in to On the Bluff with Christian Fowler and Gabe Kuhn every Tuesday at 12 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Obviously, the biggest news is the Caleb Mills injury, which I was ready to come in here and absolutely rip Tulsa University a new one, because I was 105% confident that he slipped on a wet spot on the floor.
I think he still can.
I think it's okay.
Stretcher, a wheelchair.
Didn't have a stretcher, wheelchair, nothing.
No, that's true. Our head coach had to participate in carrying him off.
I didn't notice any sweeper boys.
I know.
Or girls, whatever.
But I will say they did confirm after the fact that he did not, in fact, slip. His knee just,
Bursted?
I don't know.
Ugh.
Your knee giving out. He went so high in the air for.
He did.
Yeah, it's nasty.
It was weird. I don't like it at all.
It is truly an unfortunate situation, right?
I hate it.
I think everyone agrees that he was the glue guy for this team.
Tune in to Tigers Untapped with TJ Willis and Trey Lasley every Wednesday at 3 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
All right, y'all, welcome back to the Anthony Sain Show. It's time, of course, for the Sit Down with Sain. As I told y'all, my man Keith Parish from Fast Break Breakfast is here today. One of the OGs, man, in this podcast game. Been around as long as I have in this thing. Keith, it ain't many of us left, man. There's a lot of guys that have started off with us, did not make it this far. We've been doing this for probably, I know it's like 10 years for me. You've been around long as I've been doing it, so it's probably 10 for you as well, man. So,
yeah.
What's going on with you, bro?
No, nothing, man. Snow day. How about you?
Yeah, man.
I'm
Snowed
stuck
in
at
for
home.
sure,
Snowed in, iced in. No, I'm good. Yeah, and I've been doing this. This is my 10th NBA season of doing it. So, yeah, we've been doing it basically exactly the same amount of time.
Yeah, man. Much respect, love, and for you for sure, man. Doing our thing out here in these Grizzly streets, man. A lot of haters and naysayers. You know, the word naysayers changed those last few weeks, man. You just can't throw out naysayer the way you used to.
I don't. I wasn't big on using it anyway, but now I'm like, well, I can't use that anymore.
Exactly. Just taking regular ass words from us poor white people.
That's right. I just try to stay right in the center. Don't touch any of the guardrails. I don't make. That's not my joke. I got to choose a different kind of joke now.
Exactly, man. Guys like you and myself kind of pride ourselves on not taking ourselves too serious when it comes down to we could do the statty, nerdy stuff as well, but we both have entertaining, charismatic shows, so to speak. So I look at you as somebody I definitely emulate, and I'll be on your shit, bro. I'll be checking you out. We've been doing this for a while. But Keith, like I said, glad to have you on. With us not going in the studio this week for weather and health purposes, I can get some of my friends from across the country to come in. You hold it down in that Nashville area, doing big things with Fast Break Breakfast, like we said, for a long time. Well, man, enough flowers and kudos for you, my boy. Want to go ahead and jump into some of this Grizzly stuff, man. Thing I've been wanting to talk to you about the most, man. I've been noticing on Twitter. I know that me and you both have a special place for DeAnthony Melton in our hearts. And I got over DeAnthony a lot faster than you seem to have done. But God has blessed us with someone, Keith, that I think will satisfy that empty place in your heart, man, by the name of Vince Williams. I dropped the Vince Williams t-shirt yesterday.
Ooh.
I You ain't seen the shirt?
I haven't seen it. Got to check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Go check it out on the SilentTees901.com. The Vince Williams t-shirt. I asked the question to you now, Keith Parish. How much of that empty void of the Anthony Melton has been replaced by that new thing, man, Vince Williams?
Before I answer, I got to say, to say you moved on quickly or you moved on more quickly than me, like he was traded and you shut the door, like deleted his phone number. You were like, you're like, who? I was like, what about that time he did what? You're like, what? I don't remember that. Yeah. You turned your back immediately.
That's how I am. I don't love these hoes at all, bro.
No, I was hurt personally by the trade. I was outraged. I get mad still when people are like, no, man, like we used Danny Green to get Luke Kennard. I'm like, shut up. You got to be kidding me. Like, anyways, Vince Williams Jr. has absolutely filled that empty hole in my heart. And honestly, like when this season started, and for like the listeners of mine who listen to my Grizzlies show, Grits and Grinds, like I had hit this thing where I'm like, I don't love watching our team. Like it's fine, but they're not awesome. They're just okay. Like they're a pretty good team. And yeah, like Josh suspended. Well, he's the fun guy. Like Jaren's good, Desmond's good. The rest of these guys, I don't like watching play basketball. Just feel like I was like I'm talking about them, but you're like, I literally like, it's fine. I want them to do well. Like I'm cheering for the Grizzlies. I'm happier when they win, but like they're not that much fun to watch. And this is when I thought we were going to be like pretty good. And then it's like we were losing all these games, and I'm like, all right, we stink. And I also don't like watching these guys play basketball. And so I was like, this sucks. And then like, and Vince, had shown some stuff, in Summer League where I was like, okay, obviously that's the kind of guy I like to watch play. And then him getting this opportunity, and it was like a game or like 2 games. And I'm like, that's what I like watching play. And I got to say, we're now like 2 months into it. I'm like pinching myself where I'm like, he's better than I dreamed. So he's absolutely filled the hole in my heart. And like, I assume like you've been loving him. Like the weird thing about this, in one way, he's totally different than DeAnthony Melton. Right now, everyone loves him. I haven't heard anybody say anything bad about him yet.
Yeah, he's a really good player for sure, man. You know how a lot of times in relationship, the woman might give some extra size to her mate or whatever. I noticed we've done that a lot with Vince Williams. We made him 6'7" for some reason. Did you see the press release?
Yeah.
They added 2 inches of height to his height on the press release. He's 6'4" on the NBA.com. And I've had like YouTube commenters being like, he's not 6'4", he's taller. I'm like, they list him at 6'4", and then when he signed that new deal, they were like 6'6", 205 pounds. I was like, oh, okay, get that glow up.
Yeah, sometimes you get them extra 2 inches, man, for sure. It's a courtesy. Hey, if you're doing the most with the size you got, man. Hey, sometimes 6'4" feel like 6'6", man. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep swinging for the back, man, and you'll get those bonus inches for sure. But as far as Vince Williams is concerned, I'm more of a eye test guy. Like I see stuff that I like, numbers wise, which is something I know that you kind of dwell in a little bit more. Analytically, what's appealing to you about his game?
Well, so it's funny because I do get that label a lot that like I'm really into analytics. I'm really into stats, and I find them interesting and they're fun. But I think the notable thing for me about Vince Williams Jr., and this was the same thing for DeAnthony Melton, and this also was the same thing for like Tony Allen, who was kind of like or maybe James Posey. I wasn't into stats back in James Posey, but like that's the lineage I see. Like I love James Posey. I love Tony Allen. And for me, all of those guys were 100% the eye test. 100%. I'm like, that guy's good. That guy makes multiple effort plays. That guy is creating extra possessions. It feels like things are happening. They're great. And so what I do then, like I look at the stats a lot, and like there's some guys where I'm like Dylan Brooks, where I was like, I don't know if Dylan Brooks is good, but the stats say the Grizzlies are good whenever he plays. And so that was always the thing where it's like, I don't, like he's obviously missing a ton of shots, but like for me, DeAnthony Melton, for Tony Allen was like this beforehand. And also Vince, my eye test was this guy plays in an incredible way. And the stats that pop now for him, you have that on-off net rating swing. You have the fact that when he's on the court, the Grizzlies are forcing more turnovers. The Grizzlies are getting more rebounds. And and obviously they're outscoring their opponent when he's on the court. And so those are just some of the numbers that reflect what I think most of us are always seeing, that yeah, this guy seems great. And a lot of people are like, well, I don't care about the numbers. I do. And it's like, he looks great. And when I get super excited, it's when the numbers say we're doing well, and that matches the eye test where it feels like he's doing a good job.
If you look at some of the stuff he's doing, you see a lot of people who say, well, Vince Williams could be our, starting small forward or whatever. In a perfect world where Marcus Smart is like, hey, it's cool. I know I'm a transitional guy. I probably won't be here long anyway. I don't know. I'd love to be here. Or he might be a guy, hey, I won't be in Memphis for the rest of my career, and I'll be whatever you guys want to be. In a world where chemistry and the ego of Marcus Smart doesn't matter, is the Anthony Melton, and I'm sorry, hey, I got you on.
I don't care. Say it all you want.
Right. Is Vince Williams a guy who you can see being plugged in at the starting small forward role for a team that's contending for a championship?
Oh, so that last little qualifier you threw in made me change my answer.
Okay. Well, just give me your answer.
My first thought, I thought you were going to ask, do I prefer Vince Williams starting over Marcus Smart? And I do, honestly, where I think the fit is better. And I basically said that immediately, where I'm just so far, the cumulative effect for me when it was Ja and Dez and Marcus all playing together, I didn't feel like they were all making each other better. And I think one of the specific talents of Vince Williams Jr. is he seems to amplify the other best players. We keep seeing these highlights where yes, Vince Williams is guarding the other team's best player. Yes, he's a superior rebounder to Marcus Smart. But on offense, Marcus Smart creates shots, but he also loves shooting shots. And Vince's thing is, I want to get whoever. I want to get Desmond Bane the ball. I want to get Jaren the ball. I want to get Luke Kennard. He's always trying as hard as he can, it seems like, to give someone else the ball. So I feel like he's a better maybe fit overall than Marcus Smart. And so I would say start Vince if there were no egos or locker room stuff to deal with. Yeah. Now the part you threw in, can he be the starting three for a championship team? Yeah. I mean, is Jokic your five? Is Embiid your five? On this team, I don't know if Ja, Desmond, Vince, Jaren, Steven, or somebody else. I don't think that is a championship team, but it's a very, very good team. So, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think he could be the missing piece?
Man, it's
the final piece.
It's changing a lot with me. I didn't want to hear it at all a few weeks ago, but I'm starting to think that if it's more of is Marcus Smart a guy I want to be a starter or a guy coming out the bench situation. And at first I was like, there's no way he would be down for that. He would probably request a trade immediately, but they started talking like that. But now I look at it, I'm like, okay, he's got a wasted season here. I don't know what this is really based off of, but I could kind of see him leaning into accepting a role like that going forward in the future, whether it's for Vince or Gigi or whatever, player X in the trade or, draft or whatever you're doing. So it's kind of more what I want to do with Marcus Smart more so than with Vince. Because I think that, like you said, any guy that's not Dylan Brooks, as far as being able to defend at a high level, knock down shots, be a conduit for the ball, to keep the ball moving as opposed to being a ball stopper, I think those things are winning formula for this thing. Because you remember, man, a couple of years ago, Zaire Williams was our starting small forward for a very long time. And we were a very good team, with Steven Adams as our center. So those are all the things that I'm thinking about. And I think that that Vince is definitely a better player than him. So like I said, it's something I'm leaning to more now than I was, maybe 2 weeks ago for sure. You said something that made me ask this question as well, as far as, because you started saying if we had Joel Embiid or Nikola Jokic or someone like that at center, what do you think is more of a priority for this team? Because you're starting to hear a lot of rumors coming out about teams that are willing to make trades and these type of things. And I'm a big wing guy. This is Memphis. We barbecue in Wing City. So I'm a big wing guy. You know what I mean? So I'm like wings. I think that's the future of the NBA. When you see teams that are winning championships, they have lots of versatile guys that are defenders that can play anywhere from the 2 to the 4. That's today's NBA. Have those guys that can knock down shots, play on the perimeter, guard the best players on the other team, send those guys out in waves, and that's a winning formula in today's NBA. I also understand the importance of big men. You're talking about the best players in the league are all bigs. If the top 3, 4 guys are probably all bigs, you know what I mean? When you're talking about Giannis, Jokic, Embiid, these level MVP level guys. They're all big. You know what I mean? So I get that too. What do you think the priority should be for the Grizzlies, a team who seems like their most successful teams, and when you have a guy like a Steven Adams who simply just goes out there, set screens, rebounds, can play a little defense, bring some toughness, or is it something that can be unlocked if we have a different type of big man on this team?
Yeah, I think, if you're making a player in a lab, absolutely you want to build a Paul George player. You want to build the big wing, Kevin Durant, whatever. Like
Gigi Jackson.
Yeah, or Gigi Jackson, which actually I was thinking about, what about Gigi, Anthony? Right. But unfortunately, those guys aren't out there. And like, even when you start naming specific names of guys you want to get, like the quality drop off goes down quick, where it's like, all right, name the best ones. And you're like, all right, after those guys, who's next best? And you're like, I don't know. OG Anunoby, he's pretty good.
Royce O'Neal. I mean, what we doing?
Yeah. Then we're down to Royce O'Neal. Then we're down to like, well, where's Dylan Brooks? He's like, there's not that many actually good players. I do think the Grizzlies' easiest avenue to immediately improving next year and getting on the cusp of like being, like a Western Conference finalist, or maybe if you get all the great breaks going your way, is improving your center spot. Just because, but there's just more of those guys I feel like available to help you out. Like, can you find someone who was as good as Steven Adams was last year? I don't know, but like theoretically, if Steven Adams was fully healthy again, and you got Ja, Jaren, and Desmond playing to the peak of their abilities, well, the Grizzlies could win 56 games again, and, they could be great. But, of course, what are the odds of that happening? So, like, when you look at roster building now, I do think maybe if it is coming into the trade deadline or, in the offseason, more likely, you're probably trying to figure out, like, what is the best center, I think, would be the option. Because, again, it's just when I look at NBA rosters and I look at those wings, like, I don't see, like, what guy are we talking about? Like, is it a Trey Murphy type player, where it's just like, there really aren't. Every team wants them. And the teams that have them, you're like, well, you can't get them, so I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn on it too. I stand firm that we need a wing would be the thing. Because I think if you get a guy like, if Mikal Bridges is available, I think there's no way you sneeze at that. I think if he's, and when I say available, I mean, if he's remotely attainable, if you can trade him for warm bodies and you still got Jaren, Ja, and Dez on his team, I think you do it. I don't really care what the other pieces are, because I think, like you said, those guys don't come available. But I can also see a situation where you say, okay, I've got a Gigi Jackson, I've got Vince Williams, and these guys are only going to get better. I can see both sides of it. As far as the big man is concerned, my whole thing is this: like, there's a lot of time between now, and I don't even think opening day of next season is when you have to have your roster constructed. I think between now and the trade deadline of next year is when you have to have your team that's ready for contention, if that's what your goal is. And I think with that being said, I don't really think you should do anything big man wise unless you know what Steven Adams is. Because I don't want to make a move for a big man and I've still got Steven Adams on my roster. You know what I mean? Like, if I can either make a move for him or see what he is and move him sometime next year, between now and next year, that's what I'm leaning more towards. But I can definitely see both sides for sure.
Well, and also, big men are the most readily available guys, where you can get replacement level, pretty good play. Like, you see the Clippers right now, like, they lost Zubac for 4 weeks, and maybe they'll maintain the same level. And I think they might, just because, like, they got Daniel Tice for nothing, and he's okay. And they have Mason Plumlee, and he's okay. And even the Grizzlies, in their desperation, got Bismack Biyombo, who wasn't in the league, and he was below average, but like passable for a few minutes.
Last year when we were healthy everywhere else, we were good with Jaren and freaking Xavier Tillman as your big man. We won, like,
and also you look at, like,
it's
funny, like, it's not funny, it's sad how Steven Adams has become this, like, irreplaceable, like, well, we can't win a title without Steven Adams. And it's like, he wasn't closing games in, like 2 years ago. Taylor Jenkins DNP'd him against the Timberwolves, and now he's like, well, we can't win without Steven Adams. It's like, he wasn't that important until we got rid of everybody else. So I don't know. And talking about, like, next year and making these moves for a big, then it becomes so much about salaries. And I feel like that's the huge thing for this Grizzlies team next year. And it's the huge question for Robert Parra, where it's like I know what Steve Ballmer would do with the roster. Right. You know, like we wouldn't be worried about we wouldn't be talking about are we going to exercise
trimming around the edges and
there wouldn't be any trimming around he would be loading. He would be loading up. He would be taking Brandon Clark and LaRavia, and he would be trading those two guys to bring in guys who made more money, because you have to build up these salary slots to stay over the cap. Right. And so like the Nets, all right, Mikal Bridges is probably not available, even if we're recording this on Thursday, and the Nets are one game ahead of our awful Grizzlies. Oh, and God. They've been healthy, and they stink. And it's we offered them 4 first-round picks, allegedly, for Mikal Bridges. So maybe he's not available, but the other guys are going to be available, like Cam Johnson or Dorian Finney-Smith. And I feel like if you get Cam Johnson, you should do it. And Cam Johnson is an expensive salary. He's locked down for a while. I think he's making 25.
He just got his deal. This is the first year of his deal, I think.
Yeah, so he's a little bit older, but he's a shooter. In my mind, he fits really well next to Jaren and Bane and Ja. He's not a good rebounder, which is again
you said he's older. Cam Johnson might be the oldest guy we think is a young player in the league. That dude's pushing on 30.
Yeah, he's 28. Is he actually 20? Yeah.
He looks like he looks like a rookie. He looks like
he only got drafted a few years ago, and he looks super young. No, and but that's the type of guy where I'm all right, you could get pretty close with Luke Kennard plus somebody if it's I don't really want to get rid of Zaire just because who cares? Our season's lost, and he fits well with Ja, and let's give him another year because why not? But if you can match the salaries to bring in Cam Johnson, where you increase your salary for this season, and then you go into next season way over the tax, that's what a big market would do, and that would give you the chance to win. But spoiler, we're not doing that. We're not spending money, and so my big concern going forward is how cheap do the Grizzlies get? And that is that's going to be a literal limiting factor to all of our dreams of competing with Ja and Desmond and Jaren is going to be, well, how much luxury tax are we going to spend? If we're not going to spend much, well, guess what? We're never going to win a title.
Yeah, I was watching.
Unless GG Jackson is the truth. And if GG Jackson's him on his rookie deal, it will be good. Oh, yeah.
We can get GG on a two-way. Scoring 20 points a game.
Yeah,
exactly. I was listening to Harrington talking, and it kind of had me thinking about that too, how it seems like they're going to try to be, if they're going to be taxpayers, they're going to be in that lower threshold for sure going forward. You talked earlier about guys that how this team is not outside of some of the GG Jackson moments, Vince Williams, Jaren, Dez, all those type of guys, that this isn't we're not a fun team to watch as we've been in the past. I'm going to tell you a guy that I used to be I love watching that dude play. He's exciting. He brings flair. He's got moxie. And that dude's game took a 180 to me on the trash level. I don't know when the hell happened. And that's Santi Aldama, man. I don't know where you are with Santi. I think Santi is a super talented player. That dude's game sucks this year. It's all bad three-pointers. He doesn't get to the basket at all. Defense has gotten worse. I'm a Santi guy. I saw the kid man, I see visions of a very impoverished Pau Gasol in a same age type guy.
Yeah.
And it's this year, his game looks annoying to me, man. I don't know whether I'm tripping or what do you think is going on with Santi this year? He just doesn't seem. He looks like he's taking a step back.
I think it's a fair question. That he hasn't looked as comfortable, and I don't know what the reason for that is. You would think with our issues, with our roster makeup, and
you would think he'd be going off this year.
Lack of bodies. It's you assume. I assumed all right, Steven's gone, Brandon's gone. Now all this stuff
go do you,
just go do Santi and Jaren. They haven't done it for whatever reason, and I don't know if he just hasn't been performing the game plans, and he's of course extremely limited as far as guarding guys on the perimeter. But he gets in there and he plays a few minutes, and a lot of games they're "Nah, you're out." You're, and I don't know. I'm with you where it's been a letdown, and I don't I wish I knew why. He's struggling from the foul line, which is weird.
Yeah, and that dude's so dude, why can't you make free throws?
But he's still, I don't know. He still provides that offensive punch, and he's still I don't know. I wish they gave him a little more latitude to screw up, because it's I feel like there's something there.
I don't know, man.
It's a mystery. I'm with you. It's been disappointing.
Yeah, it's just way too many threes. Because in the past, man, he had like flair. He's going to the basket. He's no-look passing, and
he honestly, and he looks really strong. If you watched any of that was the World Cup
FIBA stuff.
Yeah, like the FIBA World Cup.
I was like, oh shit, we got Pau Gasol.
He was playing well. I don't get it. It's funny too. Here's I'm gonna go back into my my gripe bag. Mm-hmm. One of my big gripes with Grizzlies fans too, when we talk about like past moves we made, where it's like, oh, we had to let Kyle Anderson go to get Santi Aldama, and it's like, could someone tap me on the shoulder when Santi Aldama becomes better than Kyle Anderson? Because we're not close to that, and it's like, oh, but we had to let Kyle go so Santi could play. It's like, do you think we were better last year because Santi was playing? Like, no, like he's fun. He's okay. He's a prospect, but like the idea that, and the front office did it. I mean, the front office was like, we don't want Kyle Anderson taking those playoff shots. We want Santi Aldama. And it's like, sir, like, I don't know if that was the right call.
I love Keith Parish, man, because we, oh man, you talking about the Spider-Man meme for sure though. But seriously though, man, like with Santi. And I'll say this too, man. There were some things that I'm not going to talk about on the air with Kyle and Melt of why they're not here.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was, we assumed we were going to have to spend money for these dudes. But in reality,
nope.
We probably could have brought those dudes back if we wanted to. And I'm okay with saying that. I'm a front office guy. I'm a King Kleiman supporter, man. I support the King. Like, I'm not going to act like I don't. I have no bones about saying that I think they're a smart front office. I think they have some things they have to figure out. But I'm confident that they will. But that, like, no, that was not a let's get Kyle out of the way so Santi can be Santi. And if it is, that was a bad decision. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna act like we just totally missed Kyle Anderson, but I do think that we did double down on youth a little bit too much on this team. Another guy that's kind of a enigma. He's got his followers on this team. Clearly one of the better shooters in the NBA. I'm not gonna act like he's not. And that's Luke Kennard, a guy who you have to ask the question: what do the Grizzlies do with him? His salary is kind of in a weird place in the middle where he's not a particularly big contract, but he's not a small contract either. You could possibly combine him with one of the boneless wings I've been talking about over the last couple of days. You're not Santi Aldama.
I like the term bonus wings.
No, you're boneless wings.
It's like I'm thinking of it as a food item. You're like, I didn't order the wings. You're like, oh, that just comes free with your meal. Like,
no.
Like, I wanted the brisket. It's like, no, but you brought me a That's fine, I guess. You know,
I'm actually saying
we cooked too many. Wings. Okay, we cooked too many.
Like, hey, just take them. What else you want? We'll bring. No, I just want the best shooter in the league. I just want Luke Kennard. Yeah, just take this David Roddy with it too, man. Why just make the numbers?
Yeah,
right? Okay. Why not? I guess, but yeah, I'm actually saying boneless wings. You know, I got a list, so I struggle sometimes with my shit. But I'm actually saying boneless wings. But yeah. But Kennard, what do you do with him? Because it's like when he's on.
Yeah,
I haven't said this anywhere outside of my brain. But he's got one of the most violent three-point shots that I've ever seen in the NBA. It's like it slices through the net violently whenever he's on.
I like that. Yeah.
Like he's got a violent three-point shot. Like his shot, like it's made for the bang, you know what I mean, during the playoffs. Like it's made for it. Like his three-point shot slices through the net. Like he's one of the better shooters I've ever seen in the NBA history. But when he's off, he just looks like, all right, who's got the kid who won a halftime shot and now he gets to play for the Grizzlies? Where'd he come from? Like he looks like he doesn't even look like an NBA player at all sometimes when he's not on his game, when he's not making shots. So how do you value him? Because I get it. People who say that's one of the best shooters in the league, I get that. But I can go get a kid from Houston who can be one of the best shooters in the league if he's wide open and he's on. That doesn't mean he needs to be on the court. So how do you feel about Kennard?
It's a hard question because, like, I don't know. I was very lukewarm when they actually acquired him at the trade deadline. Exactly. That was on accident. I wasn't that excited when they got him at the trade deadline last year. I was like, yeah, whatever. That's a guy who was in and out of the Clippers rotation. But then he shows up and he makes every 3-pointer and he sets the Grizzlies record with the game against Houston. He made all the threes and then you have like if you want to go back to the numbers, like the lineup data when he played with Bane and Ja, they just destroyed everybody. And so like he has obvious value to this team that needs spacing and whose offense stinks. And like the half court offense is terrible again. And so like he provides some of that value, but then you look at your best players And at best, he's your fourth guard. Like that's not controversial. You have John Morant. You have John Morant and Desmond Bane, and then you went and got Marcus Smart. So at best case scenario, he's a fourth guard, and he's also a fourth guard who can't really. You don't really want to overuse him with those other guys. You're hardly ever gonna play him alongside those other three guys. And now that we've found Vince Williams Jr., who guess what is more valuable than Luke Kennard is, that's not controversial. Like, look at the minutes played per game. Like, this is also one of the things I can't get over. And this is full compliments to Taylor Jenkins, who I haven't agreed with his substitutions over the years at times. The man plays Vince Williams Jr. all the time. Like, he's playing him like heavy minutes. Like, we've never seen this in the 5 years he's been coached. We've never seen a guy play this many heavy minutes. But when it goes to Luke Kennard, it becomes like, well, then what do you do with this guy who for me, he's now fifth in this pecking order of guys who are sorted guards behind Ja, Dez, Marcus. We're obviously talking about healthy teams. Ja, Dez, Marcus, Vince, and then maybe Luke. And it's like, it's weird, but also you either have to trade him right now or you have to keep his salary around for next year. The one thing you can't do is not trade him and then turn down his salary because we're over the cap and then we just can't replace that salary spot. So it's a weird spot. I mean, he's a luxury, sort of, in the fact that like you wouldn't normally pay a guy like that maybe $50 million or whatever, especially if you're a tax-paying team. But he's insurance for when guys get hurt, and he does have a specific skill. And hopefully, even if you keep him around, you can trade him. But when I'm thinking about the future of the Grizzlies, he's not a name I'm writing on my, on my board where I'm like, okay, we have Ja, Desmond, Jaren. I'm going to name a lot more names before I get to Luke. It's just he's a guy that, I appreciate what he does, but also let's find another guy like that with that salary slot, either this year or next year.
Who could do a couple more things.
Who doesn't play the same spot as my best players,
Exactly. Exactly. I would definitely like to use him for some type of wing depth or something. Like, I'm a wing guy, man. Hey, dip him in ranch. Let's get it. Final question for you. This is, of course, Keith Parish from Fast Break Breakfast, one of the longest running, not just Grizzlies podcast, but just total NBA podcast. Total salute to one of the OGs in the game representing out of Nashville. Final question for you. You talked earlier about how this team is kind of hard to watch when certain guys aren't playing. As a consumer of the product, my thing is this. I'm like, man, I don't care if we win another game. Just develop guys, develop GG, develop Vince. Go see if GG can be the 3. Go see can he play with Jaren at the 4 and Jaren's the 5. Go see can Vince play the 2 and the 3. Can they play together? All these type of things. Go. I say go do all those. That's my only priority. I don't care what the wins, losses in those things are. I'm assuming you're probably somewhere in that same boat. How do you plan on digesting the rest of the season?
Well, I would disagree in the sense that, like, I watch basketball for I like it more when my team wins, even when I'm in this unfortunate predicament that I'm in right now, where like we're not gonna make a play in, and we do need to.
Are you not paying attention to the 60% win percentage we've had since December 19th? How are you not paying attention?
I'm not. Like, I want, like, I listen to some people talk about, like, is Bane gonna play again this season? And like, I was like, so he's supposed to get reevaluated into February. Like, they're just going to bench him all of March. I'd rather see Bane and Marcus play together and get better together, and also get better alongside Vince and Gigi. And obviously you want to keep your eye towards, I think, development of those guys. And you got to figure it out. Like, does like Laravia have anything? If all right, fine. So like, cut him free. But like, you have to figure out the guys you're getting rid of, because we all want Gigi on the team next year, and he's going to need a roster spot. And that's even an interesting question, whether or not you take him into restricted free agency. So like, you obviously, you got to pare down the Roddies and the Zairs and the Laravias and the Conchar. You can't have all 4 back next year. Like, that's absurd. So like, that's what the season is sort of for. But like, I'm not totally turning it over to just like Gigi play 40 minutes. Gilliard play 30 minutes. Like, I don't know. I feel like feel like
Scottie Pippen Jr. You know what?
Scottie Pippen Jr. Yeah. Gilliard and Pippen Jr. playing together. No, Lord, no. Please do not do that. Like, attempt to resemble an NBA team. I do think, honestly, we're lucky for this, and it makes it easier on the front office to not even consider that because we're not catching, the Pistons and the Spurs and the Wizards. Like, we're not. You could lose every game for the rest of the season, and you're not going to catch it.
You're probably going to be where you are in the standings, regardless of what you do.
And that is a beautiful freedom to me. And for that, it's like, listen, I'm still going to be hosting watch parties in Nashville. You're going to be hosting watch parties at Hooters in Memphis. And they're still they still need to sell tickets. And there's a lot of people whose jobs depend on the stuff going well, like our ratings, like your podcast downloads and such, like mine. And I want them to win. I don't want them to be like, we're just bottoming out under the excuse we're developing guys. In my mind, a better way to develop is what happened in the Warriors game on MLK Day. And what happened in the Knicks game, the game before that, where it's like we're playing good playoff teams, or maybe not the Warriors, but we're playing okay teams.
The Warriors are so
and
ass.
We're actually letting Gigi play in minutes that matter. This is not our guy Kenneth Lofton Jr. going for 40-something in the final game of the regular season. No. Like Gigi's having to guard Kawhi Leonard. That went poorly. Gigi's having to go, like Vince is guarding Julius Randle and Steph Curry. Like, I want them to get actual game reps where there's something on the line. I feel like
go ahead.
No, I was saying I feel like once you say, hey, Gilliard, you're playing 46 minutes tonight, you lose that pressure of this matters what I do today.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, I want them to still be competitive. And again, I'm planning to watch the games, and I can't watch all that development. Just development as far as just playing these bad players tons of minutes. No, I want to see the young guys get minutes next to Marcus, next to Jaren, next to Desmond, and then we can figure this stuff out.
Yeah, something that you said that when I interrupted you by mistake was Kuminga. You got to see Gigi playing against a guy like Kuminga, who was another highly heralded high school player, super athletic, same, height, those type of things. You get to see him square off against a guy like that. And those, like you said, those were meaningful minutes. It's not like he's playing against some dude trying to make on another guy on a two-way. He's playing against guys that are, in his class or whatever. Final question for you. I got one more for you, man. Real quick. Where are you as far as the draft pick? If someone wants that draft pick, if someone gets you, whether it's a big or wing, whatever you want, that you think could be a piece that can help you for next season, do you make that move for the draft pick, or do you go up to the podium and you pick your guy, whether that's a guy who you say, let me go get this guy who I think could be our starting center in 2 or 3 years, let him play a couple years behind Steven Adams? Could it be another guy to add wing depth? A guy could be a point guard, combo guard, whatever. Or do you trade that pick?
I mean, basically for this exercise, it can't be theoretical. You have to give me actual names. That's what I'm telling you. Because it's because it's who are we talking about? Because there's not. There isn't a long history. There isn't a recent
Bridges or Miles Bridges. What are we talking about?
Yeah. It's like
it matters.
There isn't a history recently of like the Grizzlies are going to get the 8th pick or something, and or the 8th or 9th or 10th pick, and it's like, do I want to trade the 8th, 9th, or 10th pick for who? Cam Johnson? Actually, no. I'd rather take the 8th or 9th or 10th pick. I am. Basically, I would say no. I want a bite at the apple. I want to actually draft somebody and see if we get lucky. You get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or Michael Porter Jr. or there's all these Jalen Williams. There's all these dudes. Franz Wagner. There's always some dude who's awesome.
In the 8 to 10 range. Yep.
And sure you can miss. I have no PTSD over taking Zaire Williams at 10. I don't care. That's the draft. And anyone I've seen this a lot, and I've heard this, and I've said it. I've said the sentence, but I'm not applying it to this. We can't have any more young guys. We have too many young guys on the roster. I agree with you, but we can have another lottery pick on the roster. I'm fine with that. When we talk about can't have any more,
looks okay in Dallas. Yeah.
It's there's a bunch of guys where it's just no. Big picture. Think about it. Ja, Desmond, and Jaren, they're all 25 years old and younger. Vince is 23. Gigi's 19. I'm all about adding a top 10 pick to that core and just hoping you get lucky. If they don't work out, that's fine. Teams are supposed to have roster churn. You know, like you're supposed to have your 10, 11, 12 in like the Grizzlies case, which is weird, or like the Thunder's case, which is weird. You have 12 to 14 guys you're keeping, but like you're not supposed to keep 14 guys every season. Yeah. All right. Like your team's not that good. And that's what we've been doing for so many years in a row where it's like, guys, like I'm impressed. You got John Conchar on an undrafted draft night. Right. Like you, man, you could go have your parade. Like you did it. That guy is an NBA contributor. That guy is definitely a 13th man on a good team. And at this point, it's like he's now our still here. Yeah. He's our ninth man. I think it was last year. I was all like, make Jitty the 13th man again. Like that was my goal. Like let's find 12 players better than Conchar. We haven't because like Conchar's pretty good, but also like you can't keep all those guys around. You got to get rid of them, refresh it. Like, I don't know if this is true or not, because I'm not a scout. I'm not particularly good at even identifying like young players, you know, like, I mean, I don't know if anybody saw like Desmond Bane's year 2 and 3 after his rookie year, but like normally I just point at rookies and I say like, that guy's pretty bad, you know, because they all are basically. And I'm normally fine with like moving on from them. So like maybe there's a world where at age 28, like David Roddy and Jake LaRavia are amazing. But I'm also like, I've seen that guy play for 2 years. You can draft him every single season. Right. Like there's one of those guys every single season. Like other teams just refresh the back 5 guys on their team every year. So like
including NBA champions, they move on from this.
Yeah. Like, so I'm all about, this is the longest answer to, I'm keeping the draft pick. Unless like something's all like, I'm keeping the draft pick unless like, that plus something equals Mikal Bridges. Okay. Yeah. Then we can talk. Yeah. But like, no. I want to get lucky. That's what championship teams do. Mm-hmm. If you don't have a Jokic or a Giannis, like, I mean, our model is what that Pistons team in like, whatever it was, you know, where it was like
long time ago.
Phillips and Hamilton and Rashid. And like, you have to, like, when we have a guy where maybe our best player is top 10, which is our hope in John Morant. Mm-hmm. But like we're building around the 10th best player and the 20th best player and the 30th best player. The hope is let's draft another top 30, top 40 player, get lucky, and then hopefully we can win a title that way.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. But Keith, I appreciate you coming on, bro. Great interview, man. This is first time you definitely been on this show. I told Kenny we got to start going from the house a bit more so we can coming in streaming guys in so we can get more guys like yourself, man, doing great work out in Nashville, bro. Appreciate you coming on with me, man, for sure.
Thank you, Anthony. It was a pleasure talking Grizzlies.
Yeah, my guy. Two of the OGs in the building.
That's
man.
right.
You know, I was watching Jarvis Greer's show today. It was Jarvis and Jeff Calkins on there, right? I was like, it's just 2 legends in the Memphis area.
Speaking of, we're not quite as OG as that.
But yeah, it was old as shit. Like it's like combined 160 years of age up here on the screen. But yeah, man. But definitely 2 of the OGs with you and myself in the podcast streaming world for sure, man. I appreciate you, man, doing your thing out in Nashville. Definitely somebody I can emulate and just we just keep, you know, just feeding off each other, man, for years is what we've been doing, man, for sure. I appreciate you coming on with me, man, for sure.
Yeah, right, my pleasure.
We're about to take a break. When we come back to 3-pointers here on Anthony Sain Show. See you guys in a minute.
One, I think most people would say you don't want to mess up a good thing, bring in drama again, because he was drama and there were some issues there. And if you have Naquan Tomlin at the moment, I think he'll start eventually, and Jordan Brown off the bench as your front court, it alleviates any bit of front court concern or depth that you thought you had. So I am all for Jordan Brown rejoining this team so long as it doesn't disrupt team chemistry.
On paper, does it make you a better team to have Jordan Brown, especially with Naquan Tomlin now? Absolutely. It's not worth, and he showed that it's not worth having him come in and mess up chemistry and mess up the locker room. If at the beginning of the year he was incredible and then this happened, maybe you would be more lenient towards saying, okay, this makes sense and I'm okay with this because we know what he can do. In a Memphis uniform and with this team, he did nothing. He didn't make this team better.
Yeah, and there is something too. Like the last game he played was against Ole Miss, and they've gone 10 straight wins since that.
Tune into On the Bluff with Christian Fowler and Gabe Kuhn. every Tuesday at 12 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Outside of just Memphis conference realignment, there's been some rumblings all over the Twitterverse. TJ, you heard anything about a merger with the Big 12 ACC leftovers and the Pac-2?
We've heard it, but like it just seems weird to think about, right?
The Pac is trying to get and retain their AQ status.
I mean, they're gonna have to add some teams. I don't know what the number. I can't remember the number. If it's 6 or 8 on how many teams.
I don't know that they're having to add. I think what he's alluding to is a merger of the Big 12. Florida State breaks away, and whatever 3 or 4 teams go. Let's say this merger, they end up with 30 teams. You're looking at 3 10-team,
something like that,
mini divisions or whatever.
Sure,
whatever they're going to call it. I don't know.
I definitely think that there's going to be some changing.
Tune in to Tigers Untapped with TJ Willis and Trey Lasley every Wednesday at 3 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Anthony Sain Show. As I promised you guys, great interview with my man Keith Parish, man. He's just a guy who doesn't take himself too serious.
No, man.
He's smart enough to go do a statty show, and he's funny enough to just come on and entertain you guys at the same time, man.
He's funny, man. He was a funny
my guy, man. You got my guy, real cheat code out here in the industry, man. A lot of respect for Keith. Been doing this thing for a while. Like I said, I joked about the Spider-Man meme. There's so many things about him that I think we just naturally have in common. He gets out here and hustles t-shirts. Like, he's just that dude, man. Like, he's
y'all both do watch parties. Y'all both do watch parties.
Yeah,
I
man.
mean, all fair, just kind of behind the fourth wall, all fair. Y'all were swapping watch party tactics,
ideas
and stuff. Like,
yeah, that's my guy, man. I got to start linking with him a little bit more often, man. He's the guy that he should be my competition. He is. Like he's not the competition, whatever. But that's my man, bro. I fool with him, Keith Parish. Like I said, one of the OGs in this podcaster, content creator sphere, so to speak. Right. But the 3-pointer, man, is where we talk about 3 things going on in the world of sports, whether it be locally or nationally. Number one thing on my mind right now, the Memphis Grizzlies are getting ready to play a game tonight. You guys are watching this game on Friday, Saturday, whenever. We're recording Thursday. Grizzlies getting ready to take on Minnesota. I think this is going to be a super fun matchup, man. Who would have thought that we'll be talking about in January the matchup between G.G. Jackson and the Memphis Grizzlies versus Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards had not a quote, but just an exchange with Kawhi Leonard the other day, which was funny.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm not gonna quote. I'm gonna let you quote it. Man, it was a trip.
I'm not gonna test the quote myself, but I'm gonna say this. If I ain't gonna lie, bro, if the Memphis Grizzlies did not exist, I would be an Anthony Edwards fan. Like, wherever that would be my guy. You talk about player fan. Anthony Edwards is one of my favorite players in the league. Yes. Him, Jason Tatum are probably up there at the top. But that's my guy, man. Anthony Edwards for sure. And I'll tell you the thing about him. I said this before. People thought I was wrong about Luka Doncic. I wasn't wrong about Luka Doncic. I was wrong about this dude. I thought Anthony Edwards was going to be trash. When I saw Alo lock that dude up in the FedEx Forum, I was like, yeah, y'all about to draft that dude number 1?
Yeah,
the dude
good luck.
He'd rather play baseball. The dude who a clown. Get that dude out of here.
Dude talking about
everything under the sun. But Anthony Edwards is just a guy who loves the game, loves to compete, talks plenty shit. That's my guy. Going up against G.G. Jackson and Vince Williams. I want to see as much Vince Williams on Anthony Edwards as I can. Oh, man.
That matchup makes me nervous a little bit because I'm just excited about it. Like, I want to see.
Yeah, it's going down tonight.
Because he talks shit and Vince talks shit. That's going to be a blast, man.
And speaking of being wrong, man, I remember the way I shitted on that whole trade when Minnesota got Gobert, right? No, man, that shit works. It looks good. Him and Cat together are dominating people. Best defense in the league, if I'm not mistaken. They got Mike Conley. Always said they got to get D'Lo off their roster, man. They got D'Lo off their roster, and they got Mike Conley and don't let them mess around and go get a Tyus Jones, man. Don't let Minnesota mess around and have the pieces to go get a Tyus Jones. And they got the kid, what's his name? The tall, super long wing they got.
The kid from France, right?
No. McDaniels. Jaden McDaniels.
Jaden McDaniels.
Yeah. That team is really good, man. That Minnesota squad. I was playing NBA 2K the other day with Gabe, and we were playing regular, like real rosters, right?
Right.
So neither one of us got the Grizzlies because our roster's trash right now.
Right.
And Gigi and Vince Williams suck on the game, so it's like we could get them and spam them or whatever.
Right.
So I want to say he got I can't remember who the hell Gabe got, but I had Minnesota. I was beating his ass. The Gabe came back and beat the shit out of me in that game. I think he had like the Suns. He had the Suns. He came back and beat my ass. Yeah, so,
but they got. I mean, even the Timberwolves have that. They have Jay McDaniels, but also that Nikhil Alexander Walker kid.
Been really good for them.
That kid's game.
Been really good for him. Yeah. Been really good for them for sure. But yeah, man, it's gonna be a good game today. I'm not gonna predict the Grizzlies loss, but I just want both teams to go out there and have fun, and I want to see plenty of Vince Williams and Gigi Jackson tonight, and maybe the debut of Scottie Pippen Jr. Maybe his mama will be in the crowd for the game tonight.
Shout out Larson.
Right, but speaking of being in the crowd for the game tonight, I've decided to become the sixth main tonight. Kenny Stubblefield, the University of Memphis Tigers.
There might be only 6 of you in there, man. Seriously, there might be only 6 of you there.
Got an email from the University of Memphis saying, "Hey, stay
your
ass
at
at
home,
Mildred. You know your ass can't see. You know your husband got Alzheimer's. Don't try to bring y'all old ass down here." I just been thinking all day long, like, is Mildred and Chester gonna take that ride from Arlington and brave the elements to come down to FedEx Forum? I'm expecting this crowd to be horrible tonight. I live 2 minutes from FedEx Forum. I do plan on literally sliding down there to check this game out if at all possible. I'm seriously contemplating it. Don't really know if I have time after we get done recording to check it out, but that is in my plan to go to the game, to be the sixth main tonight. I pull for a lot of things that the University of Memphis does on a PR, social media, marketing type thing. They've done some stuff that I like. Some stuff that's been kind of weird for me. You know what, bro? Let me pause for a second. I had a conversation with Terry Davis from the Tri-State Defender, right? And Terry's trying to argue me, talking about the Tiger football was playing whoop that trick before the Grizzlies were. I was like, Terry, you are as wrong as the day is long, man. And he was like super confident about that. But like I said,
they did that in 2011, 2012.
Like 9-10, if I'm not mistaken, man. But anyway, there's a lot of things that the University of Memphis is doing that I'm a fan of. The overall push to try to get things a little hipper, a little more modern, to get the younger crowd, the students involved. I commend all those things, but it's like they just can't get out of the way from the cornball stuff, man. Like, how do you say we need the sixth main? Which is like, okay, I'll give y'all A for effort for that. And then you're talking about what song do y'all want to be the rallying cry? Sweet Home Alabama, or like, bro, come on, man. Like, come on.
Wait, was that an option?
No, it wasn't. But the real options weren't any better, man. Did you see you didn't see the tweet? It had like all these like, nah, man, it was horrible. I was like, okay. And I just something the Grizzlies did is that they got a young urban black kid, Devin Walker, and they hired him on staff.
Right.
And they just kind of let Devin do his thing. Now, Devin's my guy. Devin ain't the blackest black ML for you and me, but he's black. You know what I mean? So, and he's cultural, man. Like he's hip. He understands hip-hop culture, understands a lot of stuff that people do. He understands trends on Twitter. He understands all these type of things.
Yeah.
Go hire someone to really go do this instead of getting somebody to kind of act like this is what they do. Devin was already a really good, social media content creator anyway. And then they just kind of transitioned him over to doing that for the Grizzlies.
Right.
Go find somebody who's up next, man, in that particular area. Go find somebody like I think Michael Harrell is very good on Twitter, the stuff he puts out. You know what I mean? I'm not saying go hire Michael, but go find there's a lot of people, man, like that are young who could, do your social media and just kind of not just do your social media, but come up with just creative marketing stuff.
Yeah.
But I said all that to say, I think it's gonna be a good game today. ESPN National Television, the Tigers taking on USF. I don't have any expectations, man. It's another Schmo ass team.
They should beat this team by double digits. Yeah.
Yeah. And if they don't, hey, it means we're out there bullshitting because I know this team, when they lock in, they can beat anybody in the country and look good doing it. No updates on Jordan Brown since our last show. And of course, as soon as we probably stop recording, you're probably going to hear something about it. He's with the team tonight or some shit like
he's
that.
warming up. He's in uniform. Stuff.
Oh, man.
I think the fact that we haven't heard anything tells me a lot. It tells me kind of all I need to know. It's like, what are we waiting for? If the team wants him back on, why is he not?
Probably hear it.
Like we would have heard, I think, by now. Right?
Yeah. I think I'm with you on that as well. Like I said, the Tigers are taking on USF and Mildred, Margaret, Mimo.
Y'all stay home, man.
Stay y'all ass at the house, man. But
man,
I might literally slide down there myself and see what's going on down there, man. Because I just can't. Being in the house all day drives me nuts. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Like I just can't do it. Like I'm not like a go out and party type dude. Like I just got to get some air, man. I like to get in the car and just drive and go somewhere. So that's kind of where I am, man. Y'all pray for me if I get out. If you see me tomorrow morning. So if you're watching this show tomorrow, because surely if I die in a car wreck, we won't post the show today.
We won't post the show.
I don't think you're gonna be. I don't think you're gonna be like Vlad TV. Like
no.
Let's play the final episode.
I ain't the Fed, man. I ain't the Fed. Let's play the final episode. Jeez. Oh, Vlad.
Oh man.
Ugliest dude in the world.
Oh man, super ugly. Pandering king.
Yes,
Vlad.
he is.
Oh,
tell me. When you found out that your brother was murdered, sorry.
Right. Right. When you were beating your girlfriend, wait, pause.
Wait. What are we talking about? Anyway.
Speaking of king stuff, man, LeBron James. Super interesting stat about LeBron James, man. I saw this. I was like, bro, no way that's true, bro. The NBA has been around for so long that you had an NBA where guys were wearing like regular ass clothes, like not the breathable stuff.
Smoking on the sideline.
Yes, smoking on the sideline. Old white guys with glasses out there playing. Guys
plumbers coming in during lunch break and playing a game.
You know, everybody standing still, passing the ball around, no dribbling, no fast breaks, just getting the position, passing the ball around, taking the shot off one foot.
Do you ever? Let me ask you a question. Do you ever think about what those dudes when they first started playing would think if LeBron walked into the gym?
And I had this conversation. Yeah, I've had this conversation so many times, bro. Me and Peter Emerson tripped about this too. Like, there was at one point somebody was talking about John. Not have a chick. Who was the point guard? Everybody was like, dude, every dude in the NBA would cook you.
Bob Cousy, man. No, JJ Redick is the one that talked about, man, this man was just like, he would dribble like.
Yeah, man. Every dude in the league would tear your ass up.
Everybody. Kennedy Chandler would beat that ass on the court, man.
Jacob Gilliam would look like Isaiah Thomas with the bitches. And not little Isaiah Thomas, Zeke. He would look like Damian Lillard out there against you bubs.
You see Gilly out there going, Dame time, baby.
Hey, somebody needs to make a movie about that, man, where some guy, it could be Gilly playing this part.
It could be Gilly playing this.
Like somebody needs to make a movie, man, where some dude is like a G League guy, can't get his crack at the league. He like stumbles up on some time machine. So he's like, he goes back, it's just like murders the league, bro. And he ends up being like one of the greatest players of all time. Like
it would be the Space Jam situation all over again. That's exactly what it would be. If you took like role play G League players in this era and put them against that level of competition, it'd be Space Jam, bro.
What's the Grizzlies assistant coach that played in the league? Scooney Penn.
Yeah,
that's it. You probably can take him right now and go stick him back
Penn
today
from Ohio State.
Juice.
Oh my God. This conversation
all this is to set up the fact that LeBron James.
Yes.
A stat comes out that says that LeBron James. I'm like, bro, who checked this shit, bro? Who confirmed
Who's
this?
that guy? It was Keith Parish.
Probably so. But how in the world, like, bro, the stat comes out that LeBron James has played with 35% of all the players who have ever played NBA basketball, bro. That is such a crazy ass stat, man.
It makes no sense to me, man. I don't get it.
But I remember LeBron James has been in the NBA for my entire adulthood for the most part. Like
when did he come in?
He came in 2003, I believe. I graduated from high school in 1998.
I graduated in 99, so he was
Yeah, and we watched LeBron James as young men, we watched him come into the league and watched him become an old man in the league.
Right.
He's been in the league longer. He's been in the NBA longer than he's not been in the NBA in his life, which is crazy.
Wild. So
wild. That stat by itself is crazy.
But
the fact that they said that this man has played against 35% of all the players in NBA history, considering what we just talked about. I don't know if you've seen Winning Time, the show Winning Time. That happened in the 1980s. And you can think about how crazy, how old that looked back then.
Right.
LeBron James played with 35% of the dudes all time in the NBA.
So that means
they've
kind of extrapolated those numbers out. It means he's played with 1,800 players in his time in the NBA.
Not on the same team, but like he's got on the court with 1,800 dudes. Man, that is insane, bro. Damn. Like I know there was a video that came out about Tom Brady. How a guy put it, he pulled up whatever the Madden, whatever. Yeah. Madden for his rookie year, like Tom Brady's rookie year. And he went through some of the players that were on rosters back then. He's like that dude's a coach now. That dude's a GM.
Right.
Right. That dude, all these that dude's an owner. Like that dude owns the team. Like all these different things, like ever since Tom Brady came into the league. But man, if you think about it, man, LeBron James has really touched. He came into the league where he caught the tail end of the Jordan Pippen.
Right.
Scottie Pippen was in the league. Jordan was in the league. All these dudes were still playing. And now he's playing with the Anthony Edwards, John Morant's, Devin Booker's, you know, the Shea Alexanders. It's crazy how long he's been in the league, man. And he's still a guy that you're talking about, top 10, top 5 player in the league. And I'm going to say this too. Go ahead.
I just think some of that also points to how big the NBA has gotten over the last 20 years because you're talking about it. The only way that number makes sense is that there's been a shit ton of expansion, roster movements that's created bigger rosters. So there more people are more playing.
More of a something of dudes. Yeah.
There's more people playing in the NBA. Contracts are not allowing for players to stay in the NBA. Like they're, you know what I'm saying? Like,
because you couldn't do the Magic Johnson lifetime deal when you back to the Lakers.
Right.
Dudes are cycling in and out of the league at a much faster rate than they were in the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Which again is just another testament to, I think, I'm a LeBron. I know a lot of folks don't like LeBron. I'm a LeBron James fan. It points to how consistently awesome he's been for so long. The fact that not only has he played with 35% of all players that have ever played in the NBA, but he's also been the face of the NBA the entire time. This has been at a massive growth for this league.
Yeah. The
global expansion.
He sets the early 2000s, 2010s, 2020s.
Yeah.
And who will be shocked if he's playing in 2030? Just being
he's playing with Bronny. He's playing with Bronny.
He's going to play with Bronny.
Doubt.
And I'm glad you said that. That's the last thing I want to talk about on this particular topic. Is you guys are freaking weirdos who are like pointing at like how, like whatever you're calling disappointing for Bronny James. Bronny James doesn't look any worse than any typical freshman looks in today's college basketball. You're talking about a dude who we're worried about his life. You know what I mean?
He almost died a few months ago.
Yeah, and there are people like who just hate LeBron so much that they're like ragging on this kid. You guys are freaking weirdos. But I'll end that. I'll end on that note, man, for sure.
I'm gonna let you handle that because I can't stand that stuff.
Yeah, I
love that James family. To be honest with you, I think that they are the epitome of excellence. And I want Bronny to go make a gazillion of his own dollars in the NBA.
Exactly. Whether that's next year or whenever he does whatever he decides to do. We're about to take a break, man. When we come back inside the Sain Brain here on Anthony Sain Show. See you guys in a minute.
I'll tell you a couple things that I'm noticing. A lot of hero ball. It's true. They are not assisting each other like they should. And I know they're talented, and I know that they try to use that talent, try to get ISO situations, but there's way too much of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the reason as to why in that Tulsa game they struggled so hard against that 2-3 zone, because they're not used to passing the ball around and finding open looks the way they should.
Right.
They're used to David Jones taking the ball and going and making something happen. Those 3 games against top 25 opponents, they were locked into the game plan, sharing the ball, doing everything they could to go get a win. But it feels like there's something amiss, like they're just not taking these teams as serious as they should.
Yeah, and I'm going to save some despair and fear of Memphis fans.
This team is going to drop 1 or 2 games to a bad team. It's gonna
feels
happen.
inevitable at this moment.
Yeah,
yes.
it's gonna happen at some point.
Tune in to On the Bluff with Christian Fowler and Gabe Kuhn every Tuesday at 12 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Obviously, the biggest news is the Caleb Mills injury, which I was ready to come in here and absolutely rip Tulsa University a new one, because I was 105% confident that he slipped on a wet spot on the floor.
I think he still can.
I think it's okay.
Stretcher, a wheelchair.
Didn't have a stretcher, wheelchair, nothing.
No, that's true. Our head coach had to participate in carrying him off.
I didn't notice any sweeper boys.
I know.
Or girls, whatever.
But I will say they did confirm after the fact that he did not, in fact, slip. His knee just,
Burst it?
I don't know. Ugh. Your knee giving out. He went so high in the air for.
He did.
Yeah, it's nasty.
It was weird. I don't like it at all.
It is truly an unfortunate situation, right?
I hate it.
I think everyone agrees that he was the glue guy for this team.
Tune in to Tigers Untapped with TJ Willis and Trey Lasley every Wednesday at 3 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
All right, y'all. Welcome back. Final segment of the Anthony Sain Show. Here, my boy Kenny Stubblefield chilling at the house, man. We ain't in the studio today, doing our thing. Shout out to my man Keith Parish again. Like I said, one of the legends, man. I've been on this man nuts for about an hour and a half right now, but that's my guy, man, for sure. I'm glad I can finally get him on. Definitely a guy who I said as soon as I get opportunity to bring in an out of town guest, he was going to be the guy I got to get on. For sure. But inside the same brain, where I talk about something that typically is not about basketball, not about sports at all. Just something that's on my mind. Couple of Memphis music news that I'll talk about this week. Justin Timberlake, of course, has a concert that's going to be in town tonight. Shout out, props to all the people who won tickets. A free concert, man. I think it's great for him to come back and do that. He's a guy who a lot of people say, you ain't no real Memphian, man. You don't really fool with us like that. But props for Justin Timberlake having that free concert at the Orpheum. I think it'll be a great, cool, small venue to have that in. I think anytime you could catch a major like arena filler, like stadium filler act like Justin Timberlake in a small, intimate venue like that, I think it's going to be a great show, man. I wanted to go to that joint. I did not get the email, but it seems like the people who got the email are the only ones that are being notified. I don't think there's a you ain't get shit email. I don't think it came out. And with today's technology, it seemed like it would have been simple to do that, to let you know, no, you didn't get it. But it does seem like only the people who got the tickets did get the email. If you got one, congrats. For sure. Get in the comments, gloat, brag to these bums who won't be there. I like how they had it set up too, man. That shit looks smooth because the way they got it is, it's not a digital ticket. Like they're not sending you a digital. If you're going, you got to come down like the day of the show,
right?
And, like, come get your tickets. I don't even think you can leave. I think you got to like go in. I don't think you can. I don't think.
Oh, so it's like a will call. They're basically emailing you and saying, you got a ticket at will call. Go
get them. You got to come get them Friday. And I think
I like that.
I don't think it's like they give you the tickets you can leave. I think you got to get them when you go to the show.
I
don't think they let you take the tickets and leave. Like it's for Timberlake fans only. Like it's dope. The way they're going about doing it, I really appreciate the whole thing. I wish I could go, man. I'm hating on everybody who's going. I ain't gonna lie to you, because that would have been a dope experience to see. JT, man, one of the great pop artists.
He's talented, man.
Yeah, great pop artist of all time. Local ties for sure. A Memphian, we'll go ahead and say that. But yeah, man, shout out to all y'all who did that. And then also updated news on Drake, man. I talked to some of the officials at FedEx Forum the other day for the symposium. And here's the thing, like Drake is kind of getting his reputation where it's like they say he don't really F for Memphis, right? But just as an update for those of you who don't understand what's going on, when these guys plan these concert tours, if anything happens where you're missing one event, it's going to mess up the whole schedule unless you're just canceling shows. And he's not canceling these shows. He's postponing the shows because these are the cities who are the smaller cities, the smaller towns who he didn't do on his last show. So these are a lot of supplemental shows he's doing for towns, cities that he didn't make the first run, right? So instead of like canceling shows and just keeping it moving, he's having to push everybody back to make up for shows that he's missing because of this quote unquote injury that he has. No, I think it's just all odd coincidence. I don't think that it's like Drake is like, oh, screw Memphis, I'm about to fake an injury so I can move you guys' show again. I don't have tickets to that. I ain't going to JT or Drake unless something magical happens.
I thought you were going to try to go because of J. Cole, because J. Cole was going to be there too.
Yeah, but I'm not trying to buy the tickets.
I got you.
If something happens, and I got a couple things I'm working on too, man. You know, since I am the official reporter of Drake in the city of Memphis, you know, that's on my resume as well. But like I said, man, a lot of stuff going on in the city of Memphis. And it's just some news, stuff that's going on as far as with the Justin Timberlake concert is going to be free, and then Drake will be moving his show back. I think a whole month. I think it's going to happen like in April or some shit like that now. But I don't know. I don't know for sure. But I tell you what, kid, it's been a great show, man. Again, we shout out to my man Keith Parish again, once again coming on with us. Got to get him in the studio. He's got to make that trip, man. I know he comes down for games sometimes.
Yep.
I know he said he didn't want to watch these bums outside of his.
That was hilarious.
That was funny. He said, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I don't like watching this team if there ain't certain guys out there. For sure.
Right.
Hey, you're just being real. But I tell you what, man, we're about to wrap this thing up. We appreciate you guys for coming out, man. Hey, check out the 2 new t-shirts I dropped on the silenttees901.com. Also, not really sure when the next watch party will be because of the weather. I'm gonna get with the people at Hooters, get that thing back going very soon. And check out those new shirts. I got a Vince Williams, got a Gigi Jackson shirt over on the silenttees901.com. Check those out. For Kenny Stubblefield on the other side of the screen, this is your boy Anthony Sain. We'll see you guys next week. Stay warm, stay safe, and we out.
Thank you for listening to the Anthony Sain Show. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. For comprehensive coverage of Memphis sports, head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co and find out how you can become an insider. We will see you back here next week.